Hello everyone, as you know I am Paul, your e-hobby guy, and in today's video we are going to review another battery capacity tester. In a previous video we reviewed this battery capacity tester. We went over it in thorough detail. I'll leave a link in the description, and at the end of this video we're going to go through its full operation and see how it performs. I prepared 2 lithium-ion batteries for this test. We'll go through the full test and talk about the results. So let's jump right in. I already have one of the 2 resistors that it came with hooked into the 2 terminals that say R and R, the 2 outside terminals. It came with these 2 5-watt resistors, 7.5 ohms each. So they are low resistance so that we can have a decent current flowing through this to measure and calculate the battery capacity. The reason it came with 2 is because we can increase the current by placing both of these in parallel, or perhaps decrease the current by placing these in series with each other, using them for the battery capacity test. I always like to take a look at the board itself for workmanship. I have to say I am impressed with this one. Everything seems to be straight. It's well finished. The only one item I would bring attention to, because it's been a problem for me in the past, is this micro USB power connector. The outer casing of this connector in good designs have a pin that projects through the board itself to give it mechanical strength. The mechanical strength is needed for the rigor of powering up and powering down many times. This looks like it only has solder pads holding it in place. There's 2 solder pads, one on either side here. The 2 shiny pins right down there are the ones that are soldered. When using this, I will have to be careful and use my hand as a back to help support it when inserting and extracting the power connector. Here's the listing that I got it from. I paid $3.25. It's entitled 18650 lithium ion lithium lead acid battery capacity meter discharge tester analyzer, and this one came from seller Shavaz Hu. So let's get a battery attached. The positive is here, the top side. Let's get that in there, and the negative in the other one. Okay, let's give it some power. It's not too evident here. I'll kill some light. That's a lot better. The LED next to the V down here is the voltage that we're seeing of the battery, and as we run the test you're going to see that going down. There is 3 buttons here: an OK button, a plus button, and a minus button. The plus and the minus button are used to adjust the dropout voltage. That's the only variable that we have control over adjusting. As we've talked about in other videos, the voltage range for these lithium-ion batteries, these 18650s, ranges from 4.2 down to a dropout voltage of 3 volts. So I will adjust this back down to 3 volts, and as soon as I press OK, it accepts it by flashing and immediately jumps into the test. And you can see that there's 3 settings here. Amp hour flashes, then it moves into the amps LED, and then the voltage LED. So it's scrolling through those 3 parameters. Here you can see the voltage slowly dropping down as it does. The amp hour reading is a cumulative amp hour reading, and so it starts at 0 at the beginning of the test and increases until it runs this battery all the way down to 3 volts. The voltage reading, of course, is the declining voltage of the battery, and you can see as it drops down through and gets down to the 3 volts, at which time this will stop and starts flashing rapidly. I'll let it run through the full cycle and we'll get back as soon as it's finished. This is my battery number 1. When finished this, I'll run the battery test for my battery number 2. I just want to cut in here for a second to point out something that's important. You can see the amp hour accumulating. As you see, the current is below 0.5 amps at this point. So because the voltage is dropping, the current is also changing because the resistive load is fixed. That's an important thing to understand about this particular module. The current varies during the test cycle as well as the voltage. The only thing that we set, as we pointed out in the beginning, is we're setting the dropout voltage. So here we are. It is finished and we have a result 647 milliamps. And that is for number 1. You can stop it from flashing by pressing the OK button once, and you're looking at the amp hours. There is 0 current flowing, and of course the voltage cut out at the 3 volts pre-prescribed as we did. So I'm going to switch it over. That's actually better than I thought it would be. I'm going to switch it over to my battery number 2 here. Battery number 2. And we'll let that run. And then we'll take a look at the results and wrap it up. To clear this, we just press the OK button again. You can see the voltage jumped up to 3.68 volts, even though it did drain it down to 3 volts. That's the phenomenon we're going to talk about in the next video, where we're going to compare this capaciity tester, the previous capacity tester, and one other method which is more empirical, one that I'm going to take measurements, my own voltage and current measurement. We're not going to worry about this for right now. It does raise up, the normal thing for the voltage to rise up after it's been cut off from being fully discharged at the 3 volts. So I'm just going to kill the power to this, switch the battery and start the test over. Here we can see I just put battery 2 in, it's wired in. We'll give this some power. 4.11 volts. Just check. Yes, we are at the 3 volts for the cutout voltage. So I'm just going to go ahead and press the start button. There we go. We started. We have over half an amp to begin with. Discharging. We'll come back when this one is finished. We are back, and as you can see, the reading for amp hours for battery number 2 is 704 milliamp hours. I did say milliamps earlier, I corrected it, it's milliamp hours. So this one did score a little higher than the first one. Both are probably a little higher than I expected, and they are consistent with the test that I did on the other tester that was featured in a previous video. Again, to stop this flashing, you just press the OK button and your test is over with. There is no current flowing. The voltage in the battery probably did raise up a little bit again, but I'm not even interested in that. This concludes the full operation of this module. Now, one thing I didn't do, which would be easy for you to try, would be to put 2 resistors in parallel, or perhaps put 2 resistors in series, and see if there's a change in the amp hour rating. In fact, there will be a change in the amp hour rating. One thing we're going to talk about in our next battery capacity test video is the correct way to actually test. We're going to look at the last tester that we featured in another video. We're going to look at this tester and a third method, but we're going to ask ourselves, what is the right way to test? You can test in different ways and get different results. So what is the right way to test? If you have any comments about that, please leave them in the comments below. We're going to look at it thoroughly from the manufacturer's standpoint. I really do appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Click the subscribe button, like the video if it was of any help at all. I really appreciate your time. Follow me on social media, and thank you for watching.